Hey, everybody. It's Andrew with a few shows you might know. Holy Smokes, the new Andrew's Pipe Dreams, of course, CE Kilt's podcasts, and occasional interrupter of things like the Kilty Cajun. Today, I have a special guest, and I want to tell you all the story. But first, if you like this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe. That helps us out. We would love to bring more of this stuff to you. You know that our show is not always just about us. It's about others. And our saying is that the rising tide raises all ships. Mm-hmm. So, y'all have been following me on my bagpipe adventure, and my baby pipeness has finally got to start marching with the band. And Pipe Major came to me, goes, "Time for some Ghillie brogues." And I'm like, I've got my Johnston and Murphys that I love, and you all know I love. But it's time to get me some Ghillie brogues. Now, I can pick some up from some of the vendors that I have, but I don't necessarily think those are the best choices. And y'all who have been, with us, were watching while we were in New York, and I wanted to go to a store there, which I misunderstood as a fitting. So they actually didn't have some shoes for me to try on. So, brokenhearted and defeated, I came home and I was just consigned to choosing something off Amazon when Sarah, who is a genius always, decided to just Google most comfortable Ghillie brogues ever. And then what popped up was Ghillie Clouds. And so I contacted Andrea in here from Ghillie Clouds, and we'd like to talk about it a little bit and just see how that started, because I kind of feel like some of these kind of businesses out there who are small and need to get somebody to wave a flashlight at them and say, hey, this is pretty cool. So, hey, Andrea, how are you?
I'm great. I'm really glad to be on, and I'm just tickled pink that you found me. I mean, I'm such a small business. It's just my husband and I. I basically do all the day-to-day stuff. We run out of our house. Half of our house is full of Ghillie brogues.
I know this feeling.
Whoops. There we go.
There you go.
And literally, we just ended up buying this company. My husband was a longtime customer before, when they were called Ghillietors. The reason they were called Ghillietors was because they're made of the same foam material as your foam sandals. And I've been warned never to say that 4-letter word that starts with a C.
We tell people all the time that
they're litigious. And but anyway, so he is prone to foot problems, so he was always buying these shoes called Ghillietors. Mm-hmm. They look just like regular Ghillies, but they're made of foam. They're mostly air. They're very light. Each one weighs less than two ounces, as opposed to a regular Ghillie will weigh almost 2 pounds. And
I bet that's great on shipping, at least.
It is. People think that they're getting an empty box. They're so light. But that also means they're really good to wear for long periods of time, like on parades or something. Just compare wearing a foam sandal or foam clog. There's really no more comfortable shoes. And that's what these are.
I will say, after maybe 6 or 7 hours, my foot feels a little tired, but it doesn't kill me.
You know what? Once people buy these, they never go back to their regular shoes. And my husband was the same way. So he'd been a customer of this company for a few years. He's a little new playing bagpipes, maybe about 5 years. Yeah, so he had his regular pair of Ghillies, and they were really hurting his feet on long parades. So then he got a more expensive pair that ended up to be even worse. Yeah. And he found, just by accident, he found this little company in Florida that was making foam Ghillies, and they're cast from, the mold is made from an actual Ghillie shoe, Ghillie brogue. You can see, like, even down to the threads, the twist of the thread, the pores in the leather. It's just amazing how detailed these are. But he ended up buying shoes from them, and he loved them. And he was going to get another pair, and he saw on the website they were going out of business, and he panicked. And he didn't give it without any warning or anything. He said, so why don't I buy the business from you? Or so, words to that effect. And so the next thing, they papers were exchanged and money was exchanged, and we bought the rest of their inventory and their business. And we made a wider size range than they used to have. I think they only had like 7.5 to, and these are men's sizes, 7.5 to 12.5. We went
Okay.
down 6.5 to 13.5.
Oh,
But
wow. Okay.
we're going even wider really soon. We're going to be making like the 6.5. That actually is a women's size. They're considered unisex.
Okay.
Like a lot of Ghillies are, but yeah. So anyway, we expanded the size range, and we hope to be able to get into kids sizes too. But the reason we call them Ghillie clouds is because they're mostly air.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how we got into it, and we kind of just bootstrapped it. Like, I'm not a technical person at all, and
Right.
I made a website, and honestly, even one person even told me my website sucked, and
And
I was like, and she was
man,
a customer.
I'll tell you, the truth is, even ours has a long way to go. We are currently in the process of trying to upgrade, because when we started, we had just acrylic kilts. And since then, we've moved up into like straight wool and many different mills. And now we
Yeah,
provide things, and we have our own sewers, our own kilt makers, and
right.
we have aspirations for more. And we've quickly
Yeah.
outgrown our own site, but we get emails almost daily. We're like, this is terrible. We don't understand what's going on. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I wish I could fix this overnight, guys, but this is a bigger problem than
Yes.
you realize.
And I just like, yeah, and then you realize there's so much stuff to learn, but it's amazing how in this day and age, just somebody can have a business, talk to people all over the country, have this
Yeah.
point of sale, like I ship all over the world.
Mhm.
Even to it, especially like I'd say Canada is our biggest supplier, or they're our biggest
Selling. Yeah.
customers. Yeah. And even in the UK, we have a lot of people. And the only, as you probably know, with retail, your margins are really slim.
Oh
So
man.
we don't,
No.
yeah.
People don't have a clue. They think that I'm making $1 million off of every kilt. Even
Yeah,
our
I mean,
even our
yes,
affordable kilts at about $150 do
that
not
is
have.
affordable. Oh my gosh. I sew as a hobby. I sew clothes, and I know
Yeah,
like it's cheaper usually just to buy new clothes than to
it
make them
is.
yourself. For the raw materials are a lot.
I learned how to make them myself, and I was doing that during
Good.
COVID. And
Oh,
I started in my original life, and when I'm an IT guy, but I also do like a
oh,
lot
you
of
are? Okay.
I do a lot of stuff for my company where I set up vendors, and I started going, I can do vendor stuff. I can get vendors for myself. And I started finding
Yeah.
that I can't even make a kilt for the amount that I can buy one and resell it. So,
Yeah.
it changed out to be what is my passion, and how do I want to empower others doing it. So, that's kind of
Yeah.
where,
I think that's really, really awesome. Like I've met so many nice people, who are like band. I always want
Mhm.
to say band majors. I was in marching band in high school, but
Yeah, I
pipe
was too, actually.
majors. Yeah, pipe majors
I was
who
tuba.
oh, you were, but you're
Mhm.
kind of new playing pipes then.
Well, people ask me all the time, how long have you been playing? And I don't know that I have a average and or accelerated version of piping. I
Yeah.
know that I have notations in my green book, and if any pipers out there know what the green book is, I promise. I have notations of 2019, which
Okay.
puts me clearly in about a 4-year range of piping. But I didn't buy pipes until somewhere around 2021. So
Right
I was
around
on.
COVID, huh?
Yeah, I was on my
Yeah.
my practice chanter for a while, but COVID is the issue, right? I was going with a
Yes.
great teacher here in Dallas, and then COVID happened, and I couldn't make it there. And then when he was taking people online, I kind of lost my job. And so, there's
Oh
been a lot
no.
of obstacles. So I don't know if
Yeah.
my training is stereotypical. I ended up with a pretty good teacher for the time during COVID. It was
Mhm.
just somebody who wanted to practice with me, and then I have a wonderful mentor named Gary Keebler. He's a good buddy of mine. He's been, playing for almost as long as I've been alive. And so we play a lot, but, again, I've had this staccato of teachers, and guys
Yes.
out there who want to learn to play bagpipes, just please don't do it alone. This is not a guitar.
Yeah.
It's not.
And then don't buy Pakistani made bagpipes. That's the other thing. You're going to they don't play. You're going to have to spend the money and get a decent pair. So
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. And also one of those strange things about bagpipes is that so many people want to try to buy used. And I'm like, for your first set, buy new. You get about a 20-year warranty. You don't know what to look for and what not to look for yet. I buy new, at least in your first time around.
Yeah.
But back to your shoes. We're going way out. This is what I do, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. I'm really bad at about going on tangents, too.
No, see, if you get to watch any of our shows, especially on the Facebook group, Real Men Wear Kilts, my wife and I are really well known for going off on tangents, which we call digression. And I don't have any whiskey with me right now, but typically when we digress,
I actually brought a little Dewars.
Dewars, yes.
Yep, and then and some ice here because I saw you guys always have your whiskey, and I was like, I need to have some, and I didn't have it I didn't have any scotch except the little bottle.
That's perfect, though. So I was just before I got on with you. I had a customer. Oh, wait! My door is opening. That means somebody. The whiskey fairy has done her job. So Solange, here I digressed. Thank you so much.
What kind is that?
This one is Selkie something. It is an Irish whiskey that she just got and is really tasty. Okay. I'll have to find out specifically. I'm sure in the chat she will tell us in just a moment. Okay. But for any of you playing at home, the podcast my wife and I do out on the Facebook group, that digression game was not something we made. It's something you all made, and we just don't stop it. We've jumped on the train because we digress.
Yeah, and then there's just the whiskey too, and But yeah, I watched some of yours, and it was kind of funny. One of them, you were talking to this guy who he was just this well-dressed, a guy who was well known. I guess you had him on because he was really fashionable in a traditional Scottish sense.
Oh, this would probably be our good buddy Thomas William Tare, which I love to do.
It was him. Yeah, you guys, I was laughing so hard because you said something about people in Texas wear Crocs with their kilts, and it's so bad, and I hate it. It drives me up the wall, and I was just like,
Well, yours do not look like the aforementioned animal, and so I am absolutely. And to speak on that, going back to the point, now I see tassels. Are those also foam?
They are all. They're pleather. If you wanted to, like, I make the tassels myself. They're just a strip of pleather that I buy, and I cut and fringe it and wrap it around there. But if you like the look of a leather tassel, you could pull one of these.
Well, yeah, I do, absolutely.
Yeah, you could just pull one of these off. We just did pleather on there because that's what we had available, honestly.
I think that's great. I'm all for anything like that. Like our start was in the acrylic kilts, and that was one of the main reasons is.
And that was when you were first selling already made ones. Okay, yeah.
Well, we don't buy any bulk. So if you ordered from me, I then go and I get your measurements. We'll do an online video if we have to, an online consultation where I watch you measure yourself and we try our best to get the right fit, and then we order it bespoke. We do not. We don't have. I say I don't have a million kilts in the house, but
you don't make the kilt yourself. You have a network of people who are professionals and they make them.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And they're all over the world at this point. I have people everywhere from Louisiana to, some other places. So, I mean, I've got Scotland, I've got Louisiana, I've got California. Like, we've got everything all over. So we do it, and we try to make sure that we can fit your lifestyle. I have people that call us up and they say, I'm just a pub guy. And I'm like, 100% wool is great, but it's
Mhm.
probably not what you need. You're going to be
Yeah.
spilling stuff. I've got a hole in the kilt I'm wearing right now because I dropped cigar ash on it, and
Yes. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not crying because it's not $1,000 kilt, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, so
Well,
we
that's
talked a little before we recorded. You
mhm.
said that the shoes typically come matte, and you had some great
Yeah, they're
anecdotes about
matte.
turning them. Tell
Yeah,
tell
they're
me the anecdote about the pipe major who likes to turn it
oh
shiny.
yeah, yeah. Well, they come matte like this.
Hmm.
They're but you can make them a little shinier by either just spritz a little
Armor
lemon
all.
oil, just spritz it on, wipe it off with a paper towel. That'll give it a little shine, or you can use lemon pledge. And
I
we
love
do
the idea of my feet smelling like
That's
lemon
what I use. I
pledge.
use the lemon pledge because I do like the way it smells. Now we do have it'll shine up, but they're not as shiny. Like if you see like the just beautiful patent leather, if you want that look, you got to go a little more heavy duty. And we have a pipe major in Canada who uses shoe polish or wait, I always get this backwards. Okay, yeah, he uses shoe polish and then puts a coat of floor wax on top of it and buffs it. And he swears, I've never met him in person, but he has his whole band do it.
Really? And so the whole band wears the Ghillie Clouds, huh?
Yeah, yeah, we have
I
a lot
love
of
that.
actually bands are our biggest customer because anybody who's on their feet a long time and who wears like the regular shoes, they
Yeah.
know they're really uncomfortable. And it's kind of funny because we had like multiple bands, they when it's really humid in the summer and wet, your shoes will come apart. Even expensive shoes will come apart in the
Sure.
from the heat and the water. And they started buying our shoes because they just, these you can get them in the mud. They wear phenomenally. They will always look like this. They're always going to be flexible and plot. Oops, sorry, I have to find where the camera is.
It's
They're
tough to figure out which direction to go on things. I know.
it is. I think
Yeah.
I'm kind of dyslexic, but anyway,
No, no, it's backwards. It's
they're
always backwards. If they want to be able to read things on the screen,
yeah.
the image has to be backwards.
Okay. All right. Just like
It's
with
all
the
good.
camera.
If you ever
Yeah.
notice, if you take a selfie, if you raise your right hand, it's actually your image is left hand
Yes.
because it has to be so it's reversed. And StreamYard here, what we're using, does not reverse it. So we end up going the wrong direction all the time. When I try to get the cigar to like the screen, I always have a hard time figuring that out.
Yeah, but these come to us from China. I manufacture them, and there's a belief that if something comes from China, it looks like crap, looks like garbage.
I
That's
mean, I
not
can't say I
true.
haven't thought that myself occasionally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is, China will work with whatever budget you give them, and if you don't give them a budget, you're going to get a piece of crap back. But
Mhm.
I told them that I want these to look just exquisite. I want them to look detailed and I want them to look perfect. And I paid what they asked and I didn't negotiate with them. I didn't try to beat them down with the price because I wanted the shoes to be nice. I wanted them to look really just beautiful. And they did a fantastic job. So don't think just because if they're from China, they're bad, but they come to me rough from the mold. I trim
Uh-huh.
them and then I'll make the tassels myself. So they're partially made in the US, or I guess you could say finished in the US.
I like that.
And yeah, yeah, but they're
Well, I
you
mean,
know,
so most people don't know, but even the Scottish military are picking up some of these things from Pakistan, from India.
yeah,
There's a lot of stuff. We don't know where stuff is made anymore.
you
But
know
to
what?
have
And you can even there's one thing I found out, like I wanted to have these all made in America. I thought that would like that's one thing being an
nothing is made
entrepreneur.
here.
Yeah, you're just like, I want to have jobs. I want to give people,
Hmm.
I want to contribute and I want to do something good with the economy and harness that power.
Yep.
And, so I wanted to do that. But the fact is, making the molds here, it would have been out of the question. A
Oh
single
yeah.
mold would have been
No,
like, it would
we've
have been
pushed
more
this thing.
expensive than a house. And one thing, like the factory, a few of them that I talked to here said, well, we can't compete with Chinese molds because, but our molds are going to look just as good after the 2 millionth piece as the first piece. And I said, well, it would be really nice if I had 2 million people that needed these shoes.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I had to do that, and it was just because it
It's
would.
business.
What's that?
It's business. But see,
It's business, and
what we've decided is what we've decided with CE Kilts is we can find ways of giving a platform to other Americans, just like you
that's
are,
so
or
cool. Yeah, I really,
even Scott.
I just love that. Yeah, thank you. I so appreciate this so much. And
Well, I
one thing
hope it
I
turns
was
out to be something for you.
you know what, it does, even if it's just one person. It's like word of mouth. Like, I don't even really advertise, honestly. Part of it is because that's one of the many things that when you have a business, you don't really know about, and you just kind of
Hmm.
trial and error. But really, people just, word of mouth is how our shoes get around, because they're just so comfortable.
We
And
actually talked to a marketing company when we first started everything, and
yeah, we
they
did
did
too.
they did one thing. He goes, "Here's the way that my company works. You have to tell me when to stop because I break companies." He did one thing and he broke us. We couldn't keep up with one thing, and so this, we definitely know that we have some growing pains to go through, and we're
Yeah,
starting to see some of those now as our site seems to be
cool.
a little not enough for what we want to do, but
So then,
hey.
do you, with the kilts, do you have a lot of people who, over like the COVID lockdown period, decided they were going to figure out how to make a kilt? Is that how you get a lot
Not
of people?
nearly. A lot of people decided that they weren't going to wear pants, is what happened. And so,
Yeah, they got used to wearing like sweatpants all the time, and it's,
well,
yeah,
not the sweatpants and kilts. I mean, I can't tell you the little group that we're mostly affiliated with, but we're in others. It grew the most during COVID because people were like, "Yeah, I can be kilted anyway," and so they did.
yeah,
Um,
good.
I also think this is where America and then Scotland kind of diverged because Americans will do casual kilting, where
Yes, they do.
I'm kind of in a dress shirt and a vest right now and a kilt. However, I did just get back from church.
Yeah,
On a normal Sunday evening, or let's say a weekend evening, and I'm going to go to the pub, I might be in a t-shirt and a kilt, which is not
yeah,
unheard of in Scotland, but it is a little odd because they see the kilt a little more like a tuxedo. And
yeah.
so, yeah,
Oh, yes, they do.
I
Yeah,
would think it's kind of funny to see somebody wearing a kilt, a tuxedo bottom and a t-shirt. But
right.
it's all in expectations. I go to the pub, but they'll wear a kilt to a like a rugby game or a soccer
Mhm.
match,
Yeah,
and
I just think of they always show King Charles and the Prince William and Harry
yeah,
wearing their kilts to all the formal events.
yes,
So
which is more accurate. They would wear all the very, very, very formal wear on the kilts, but Americans tend to have a more casual attitude, and so we see a lot more
they
polos
do.
and t-shirts and
Yeah.
that kind of jazz.
Well,
But
I don't remember if we were off mic, if this was before we were recording, but I told you my husband actually wore a kilt to do a marathon in.
no,
And
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, it was one of those lightweight nylon sport kilts. And
right.
yeah, he got a lot of people compliment men in kilts.
Yes,
They
they
just
do.
men compliment other men in kilts. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I think it's the confidence too. It takes confidence to wear something that's non-bifurcated, and that's attractive. And but yeah, when my husband wore it in for the marathon, since then we've seen a couple people also doing the same thing. So
Well, and I think we often preach that when you put on a kilt, you have um, like you have to put on a different personality. You have to stand there and you have to be ready for questions. You have to be
yeah,
ready for people to run up to you and say, "Hey, I want to take a picture." But
yes, they do. Yeah. Do you do
we,
gigs like for St. Patrick's Day? Do you play at bars and things?
So I'm such a new piper.
Oh,
I have
just
been a solo piper until just recently,
okay.
and now I basically only piped for my events. So as
Uh-huh.
Andrew, the chapter leader here in Texas, we do like a kilted fashion show somewhere in the cold season, like around Christmas and stuff like that. And so I
Yeah.
would like pipe for my own events, or if there was a whiskey tasting and somebody wanted everybody's attention, I would come in and pipe for that.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yes, and then of course my neighborhood Facebook group has been trying to figure out where the bagpipes are coming from because I I pipe out in my cul-de-sac. Nobody seems to have found me except some
That's,
runner who
you
looked like he
know,
was terrified.
that's a challenge. That's a challenge when you play the pipes. I know my husband will go in different parks and stuff because he doesn't want to always blast the same area. And he found out like there would always be police cars kind of surrounding him wherever he went. And
They
then
were
it turned
listening.
out, yeah, it turned out one of them said like he asked when he was like, should I be doing this? Am I in trouble? There's always police cars around when I do this, and they're like, no, they radioed each other to find out where Michael was
Like
practicing.
the piper
And,
is now in
yeah,
Kelly Park. Let's go to the Kelly
so
Park.
that's what happens. But
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
it's a
Yeah, I've had a few people. There was a couple that came around, and it was a guy, his wife, and a baby in a stroller. And he goes, "I'm so glad you're out here." And I said, "Yeah, really? You like my playing?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that's good too." But my wife thinks I've been crazy because I kept telling him I hear bagpipes. And then there was a runner who came around the corner. He saw me, and his eyes got about as big as glasses, and he's like, I know I heard it, but I didn't know what I was hearing. It's just crazy. And the
do people ask you to play at their funerals?
yes, I've played some
Isn't
funerals.
that
I've played some
amazing?
weddings.
Yeah, my husband has played at even before he was very good. I mean, right now, like 5 years, he'll say he's not good. He
Yeah.
will say that, but I think he's a really good player. But anyway, he'll people will ask him to play at the funerals, and sometimes people he doesn't even know, and he's always honored to do that.
Oh
And
yeah. No, I
it's
sold
something
the
about
kilt
the
to a
players.
guy. I
Yeah,
sold
they
the
just
kilt to a guy here about a month ago, and I said, "What's this for?" And he goes, "My wedding. Would you pipe for us?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah,
yeah.
we've been following you on Facebook for a while, and we need a piper." And I'm like, "I guess so." And so I
Yeah.
showed up at his wedding, and I piped for him. It was funny
And
because
people
he
they loved it, I bet.
yeah, oh they did.
Yes.
It was yeah, it definitely it's good for me to do some of these smaller venues because I'm not sure all the things I need to know, and I found out, this is not one of those things where you should march because you're going to run into stuff. And I ran into so many ceilings, and I'm over here trying to keep
Oh,
piping,
really? Oh my gosh.
falling over. But yeah, it's absolutely a pleasure and an honor to be able to pipe. I think that it is one of the most unique instruments. You and
Yeah.
I joked about being in bands earlier,
Yeah.
and I played the tuba, and nobody goes, "Man, I really need this tuba for my funeral."
No,
It just doesn't happen.
they don't.
No, nobody's like, "Man, if I only
Yeah.
had a clarinet for my wedding." It doesn't happen. It does that
No,
people
there's
do.
something about the bagpipes that just like people love it. And I know like with one thing, my husband just switched bands. He was in the McAllister College band, his local
Uh-huh.
college band, but it wasn't just, it was about half the people in it were college students, the other half were hobbyists like he was. But
Yeah,
anyway, he wanted to do stuff that was more in the community, and so he joined the firefighter honor band.
I'm in the
They are,
policeman.
is it, what's that?
I'm in the Sherman, Texas Regional Police
Oh,
pipe band.
yeah, good. So you get out and do all the parades, and yeah, so he
Yes.
likes that. They do a lot more performing, and he really likes that. There's something about like with the bagpipes, people just love it. It just makes like an event seem really important and serious, and
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it is a much different animal. There's probably in the North Texas region, the king is North Texas Caledonian pipes and drums, and this is a service pipe and drum band, and they do
yeah,
all the funerals and the military stuff and the police officer stuff and the parade stuff, and they're much different animals. They're super different animals, and I'll probably be playing a whole lot more, even though I probably won't be pushing the bounds of my tune knowledge, as in like tunes nobody's ever heard of. You know, they want to play all the tunes everybody's heard of, which is great for me right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
It is. Well, that's cool. I mean, you learning a musical instrument later in life. Like I'm learning how to play a fife now.
oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, I
Well,
know.
wait, no, this is fantastic because while I was in New York, gosh, I'm digressing all over the place here.
No,
While I
no,
was
that's
in New
okay.
York, there was a drum and pipe band, like a
Yeah,
much
a
different
drum and
animal. And
fife. You mean drum and
yeah,
fife?
well, though
Yeah,
they had one set of bagpipes and they had a bunch of fifes, and
yeah.
they were all dressed up like in colonial clothes, but they were
That's
like
what
thunder.
that's what I think would be so fun. So anyway, that's my goal, music
Learn
goal. Like
that
I don't
fife.
play pipes, but yeah, I'm learning the fife for the 4th of July and have the colonial clothes and everything.
Well, once we get off here, actually, let me ask you a question about the shoes. Are we talking about normal? My if I put my foot on a ruler, I'm coming in at like 11 something, 11 inches something inches.
Mhm.
I usually wear like a 12. Would you say that I probably wear a 12?
Yes. Yeah. Go
Okay.
where we have and I don't know how this turned out, but when we got our shoes back, like I just assumed they would be normal sizes. We
Hmm.
got them back from the factory and they're like size what? Well, they're just different than normal sizes, but they are consistent. So just use our size chart. And
Okay.
if you're between sizes, size up. But the good thing is that because these are really soft, um, your your foot will sink into it and the shoe will kind of like meld around your foot for a custom
Okay.
fit and hold it in place. Like I wear the shoes we get back from the factory with flaws on them. I'll wear sizes that are 2 sizes larger than normal and they're
It'd be just
totally
fine.
fine. My foot doesn't slip around in them. So you don't need to be just don't order smaller. And I know a lot of times Ghillies are narrow. These are not. They're normal. Like if you can even have wider than average feet, as long as you don't wear like a bona fide wide shoe, these are going
Hmm.
to be fine for you. In terms of durability, they
That's
are
the next question.
yeah. People want to know. They're just they wear the same as your foam sandals. Like if you drag your feet a lot, they'll wear down faster than a leather heel would. But the good thing is they're never going to crack. They're always going to be flexible. One thing now we did, I don't know if you can see.
I can see a lot. Like
Well,
I can see
there's
some of that broguing in there that looks
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. You've got these lace holders. We did have to do a little bit of a unique look raising these to make them strong because otherwise if you yank on the laces these would tear.
Oh.
Still, like you can certainly pull on them but you really shouldn't over time because the sharp string will cut through the soft material
Oh,
eventually.
I see.
But
Okay.
well, like my husband's had it. He still has his very first pair from like 6 years ago or 5 years ago, and they're totally fine. So, but it's just some people, if you're used to really yanking on the laces, you'll tear through these over time. You don't need to. You put your foot in, and your weight will make the shoe just kind of like suck around your foot.
Okay. Now I wouldn't be in the market for like a fuchsia one, but we got black. Are we gonna have some browns at some point?
No, we probably not. I
Okay.
don't think so. But one thing that you can do with these, you can spray paint them and the paint will stick. You can dip them. Like I've actually drawn on them with a paint marker before just to make them funky.
Really?
Yeah, you can. I don't know if you're really into customizing sneakers, but they have that film that you put in the water and you dip the sneaker in
Yeah,
paint.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can do that with these, and it works really well. Actually, I was thinking about having like selling some of that, but my
Well,
husband's like, no one's gonna do that.
if you're watching Chris Gullick, if you're watching Chris Gullick, I'm asking him if he's
Oh,
watching. Let us know because you're the guy that's going to go out and take these and see if you can get them colored to your fantastic different colors that you like. So I would love to know how
yeah,
this works out if you get a pair of these.
yeah,
And
they're really you can do this material is it's just crazy material.
That's
It's,
fantastic.
yeah. So they're, oh, the one thing I should say, when you use the spray on them, don't get them on the bottom. It'll make the
And
bottom
it's slick.
really, really slippery. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine.
So anyway, yeah,
Well, gosh,
they're
Andrea, it's been amazing getting to just chat with you over
same
this.
here. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. And I was
No,
going to
yeah.
say, we're the only place you can buy these is just through our website. It's
Uh-huh.
called GhillieClouds.com. Ghillie
Okay.
clouds, because they're made mostly of air. These are,
Well, we're going to have that information in the
yeah,
the
yeah,
comments, not the comments, rather, but the description.
yeah. I
So
ship worldwide. My shipping, I actually don't make money on shipping. I'm
we
just,
don't either.
yeah, you can't. And but anyway, one thing I do for bands is, if everybody ships, or you don't even have to be in a band, it's just a flat rate shipping. Like in the US, it's $10. You can, but if you ship it, and I use priority mail too, so
Mhm.
it will get there in 2 to 3 days. But I'll ship, if you do multiple pairs of shoes, it's still just $10. And I do that all over the world too. So that's kind of my thank you. I never have sales, because I think sales are just bogus. Honestly, they put me in a bad mood. I'm just like, okay, if you sell this for $10 off this week, why don't you just do it all the time? So I just sell them for what I can. And my thank you to people is just doing like this bulk flat shipping. And I think internationally, I think I only charge $20, I want to
Yeah,
say.
that
And
sounds
it's
about
like,
right. Certainly do too.
yeah, it's right now, I think, just to even go to Canada, I just got an order from Canada. I think it was 27. So anyway, because I'm not a good businesswoman.
Well, hey, it's like I said in the beginning, and one of our very common statements here is the rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I
People don't
I'm
understand that. Like, I mean, honestly, there's some, like, with inflation, I appreciate, like, when there's a business that didn't raise all their prices, like they already had all their stuff in stock, and for them to raise their prices after they have it all, to me, that's just an asshole move. And
I'm
it
liking that.
is.
Yep.
And that's just my opinion. And I'm not going to
Mhm.
do that. It's like, I just think, you know what? I just respect everybody's money so much. Like, there are thousands of pairs of Ghillies out there. They could go with any one of them. There's only one that's made out of foam, and we are the most comfortable one. Once you go with them, you're never going to go back to your other nice leather ones.
Yeah. Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think you've got one picture on y'all's Facebook page that shows yours sitting next to an old used pair, and they look exactly the same, except the used pair looks very used.
Yeah,
So,
and they're the same age. They're the same age. So
really, I mean, I think that stands for itself. So,
yeah,
um, I think we were talking a little about maybe doing some kind of promotion. We'll talk to you about that off air, but you
yeah.
guys keep tuned, because we might have a promotion to get a pair of these, and you all will have to do something fun for it. It's not going to be just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, I'll
But
ship anywhere in the world. Anywhere. I mean, I've even shipped to, I ship, I've never had shoes not get where they're supposed to get. Like, I do the signature thing, which I realize, as you know, it's kind of can be a pain, because people, when
mhm,
they're gone, they've got to go to the post office. But I
yeah,
just learned the hard way. Like, you just have to do it. But I've never had a pair of shoes stolen. I've never, they'll get to you no matter
most
what.
people, if somebody stole these shoes, they would pull them out and be like, "What?" And probably
I know they would.
somebody left the tongue out of these shoes.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
wouldn't know what to think. So,
I love them to death, so I'm looking forward to getting a pair and trying those and
yeah,
marching in them. So, well,
yeah.
Andrea, thank you so
You'll
much.
never. Yeah, you'll never ever go back to your leather. You just won't, at least for parades. Maybe for a dress occasion, but I swear, it's like I said, my husband he bought like a regular leather pair, and then
Hmm.
that was proved to be so uncomfortable. He bought a more expensive one that was I want to say it was like $145 for it.
I wouldn't be
And that's
surprised.
as expensive as they go. And that was even worse than the cheaper pair. So,
I'm with you on this. I think my Johnston Murphys, which I still swear by, are
yeah,
like they were
those are
180,
nice shoes, I know.
180, but I've worn them now almost daily for 2 years, and that's in my
Yeah,
my normal life, also my Celtic life.
yeah.
But stick with me here. We'll say goodnight. God bless, and see you later, you guys. We'll have if Sari's still watching, go ahead and click that, and then you and I will talk off air.
Okay, thank